Danny, let's go to the American League here. We saw the Tigers hold on to a 7-6 win. Tigers have been hot. They're pacing things in the AL Central, but it certainly got interesting with that Lonnie Chisenhall grand slam in the ninth. What are you seeing from the bullpen of the Tigers? I feel like every single year it's the same old story. Bullpen issues for Detroit. We got K-Rod trying to close things out there now. Is this just going to be something they're dealing with all year, or do you think K-Rod can figure it out and settle down, become that consistent closer they need him to be?
Well, I think with K-Rod, his career has been great. I know he's got a gazillion saves and he's done wonderful things every year that he's played. But as he's getting older, last year, he had a pretty decent year, but he was throwing 86, 87 miles an hour with a really good changeup. Every year as he gets older, his velocity goes down even more. So that doesn't make his changeup as good as it used to be. Now hitters are saying, we're not going to even chase the changeup. We're going to wait on that straight fastball, and when he throws it there, we're going to take advantage of it. And I'm not trying to knock on K-Rod whatsoever. I just know, being in that same position as I was getting older, you don't throw as hard, so your stuff isn't as good. So to me, if the Tigers really want to compete, they're going to have to make a move at the trade deadline to try to get some extra bullpen help, because this, like you said, this has been their nemesis, that bullpen. And if they're going to compete, they need to do something.
I agree with you. I'm sorry. I think you hit it right on the head. I think K-Rod's had a great career, but at this stage in his career, with what the stuff is at, with what the radar gun tells us, I don't think he strikes a lot of fear into opposing hitters. I think if you're going in with a 1-run or 2-run deficit and you're facing K-Rod trying to close the door on you, I don't think you got a lot of teams out there offensively shaking in their boots because K-Rod's at the back end for Detroit.
The only noise you're going to hear, it's not shaking in their boots, it's people fighting at the bat rack. That's what they're going to hear.
All that clanking, it's guys trying to grab a stick, that's for sure. And I think you're right. I think the Tigers, from what I've seen, their offense looks pretty good. Matt Boyd got it figured out with a good start earlier in the week. We know Verlander's had kind of a rebirth. If they can figure out the bullpen, I think they can compete, maybe challenge the Indians in the division, but more realistically compete for one of those American League wildcard spots. But they got to figure out the bullpen. And if that's something that comes in the deadline or in-house, a promotion of somebody, I just don't think it's going to be K-Rod for long closing the door for the Tigers.
Let's talk. Because they can outmash. I'm sorry, Laura. They can outmash, sure. But when it comes down to it, you need somebody to finish the game.
100%. They're hitting home runs left and right. Every game they have home runs. But it just seems like if they're in a close game, it's the same old story. Can they get the save? And I don't think K-Rod's the guy.